Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. This morning it's still absolutely boiling, again sort of topping around 30 degrees at our plot, but there's a few jobs that I really want to get done, and one of them is taking some cuttings from these blueberries that have done so well for us this year. You can take cuttings as softwood or hardwood, so we're going to use this softwood here, which is from the new growth. And we've got a number of these that are suitable for cuttings on this plant. I got the idea for taking these cuttings after a conversation with one of my fellow plot holders who was talking about how expensive it is to buy blueberry plants, but they are actually quite easy to grow from cuttings, so it's worth having a go at this. In order to do this, you need to start with a very clean pair of secateurs that are nice and sharp. So you just find the bit that you're going to cut, and to start off with you just want to snip it off. I'll take this one. And perhaps this one also. What I'll do is I'll pop around all the blueberry plants and collect, so we've got probably about 8 to start with. I've got 3 material for cuttings here, so what I'll do is I'll pop around all the blueberry plants and try to get about 8 to 10 decent shoots. If you look around the woody base of your plants, you will probably find that there are some new shoots coming out of the older material, and they're good for taking cuttings as well. So nice and clean, as close to the woody section as you can. These ones are also pretty good. I popped into our polytunnel because this is where I'm keeping a load of this spent compost, which is suitable for taking cuttings. It's actually around 37 degrees in here, and it was just under 40 degrees before we opened the doors. So it's absolutely boiling. I'm going to do this as quick as possible. So many traditionalists would say that you should add some sort of material for drainage to this compost. So something like perlite or grits. To be honest, I've just not got any in, so I'm going to go for this. So this is compost that has been taken out of various plant plots where we've started seeds and they perhaps haven't worked. So it's absolutely fine to reuse. You can see there's a few bits of root in there, don't really worry about all that. And that's the start. So let's get out of this tunnel because it's absolutely sweltering in here. I'm going to use this organic based rooting powder, which is made of mainly seaweed extract and a few other minerals. I've used this before and it's always been quite helpful in getting our cuttings to set. You can get inorganic based rooting powders that are often made of synthesized plant hormones. In order to prepare your cuttings, try to do this as quickly as you can after taking them off the plant. So here we've got one of the cuttings. The idea is that you are going to remove all the leaves up to just a few, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, just a few leaves on a bunch on the top. What this does is reduces the rate of transpiration, which is water loss from the plant, giving it time to set roots. So I'll do that now. So on this one, I'm going to take it right up to there. So we've got a few little bunches of leaves on the top and just a few here. On these larger cuttings, similar again, take your leaves off. And for this one, I will go for about there. So if you have a look at some of these cuttings, you can see where you've got the nodes that these leaves will have been growing from. These leaves will resprout as the plant starts to grow. You can also see that some of them, for example that one, it's split into 2 branches. So I'm sure the purists out there would tell me that you shouldn't do that, and then you're increasing your number of leaves for transpiration and it's less likely to set. But I'm going to give a few a go like this and just see what happens. So the next stage is to actually get your cutting material into the potting medium that you have used. So we've got the cuttings here. The next stage is to trim the end of the cutting to make sure you've got a nice clean cut. So the best thing is to look at where you have got a leaf nodule coming out and just cut just underneath that, for example there. And again, for example, there's a leaf nodule there, I will cut there. So you can see it's a nice clean cut that you're looking for. I'll just go through the rest of my pile and do the same thing now. So starting with the rooting powder, I always give it a little bit of a stir just to make sure that it's nice and loose and it's easy to dip the cuttings in. You're then going to use some sort of dibber. So I'm using this piece of cane, but a pencil or anything would be absolutely fine. Ideally you want to put your cuttings around the edge of the pot. The theory is that it's likely to be less wet around the edge. To be honest, I'm probably going to put them around the edge and some in the middle as well. I always like to just have a go at a few different things. So we've made a nice hole. We'll get our first cutting. Dip it into the rooting powder. And then push it down at the edge so it's nicely firmed in and your leaves are above the top. So if I just do another one. Quite a lot of leaves on that one actually, but I don't necessarily follow methods to the T, as you might see in some of my videos. I like to just do a bit of my own thing. I'm going to try one of these double ones again. This is definitely breaking the rules. I'm going to do it anyway. Let's try the finger method here. Again, that's fine. Works quite well actually because the compost is nice and soft. It's a bit easier than the cane. I'll just keep doing that. So I've got a lot of cuttings here. I'd be pretty happy with a 50% take rate. I've got a few left, so I'm going to stick these in the middle. Usually what happens is the stuff that you haven't followed to T work better, so these ones in the middle will probably be the best. That would be the irony. I have my few spare ones. I'm going to stick a couple of these in as well. Let's do another one of these doubles. And this one's a really nice one, so I'm not going to waste that one. Just make a little hole there. Oh, take that one out. Didn't do very well with that one. I'll replace that one. Just knocked it. If you do break any, just take them out. Don't bother. If the stem's damaged, they're not going to work. So here's all the cuttings. What I need to do now is to water these well and put some sort of transparent bag over the top. Again, this is about reducing the water loss rate, the transpiration rate from these leaves, giving the plant time to establish some roots. A tip I'd like to mention here, which I didn't talk about when I was putting the potting medium into these pots in the polytunnel, is that blueberries are acid-loving plants, which means that they will thrive best in an acid or ericaceous type compost. I haven't used that here, I've just used some multi-purpose spent compost as I discussed earlier. Because the cuttings are only going to be in for a very short period of time, it shouldn't make too much difference. When I do pot these up and put them into individual pots when they have rooted, I will use the acid compost though. I'm going to water these, and I am going to use rainwater because blueberries, again, they do not like tap water. When you're watering, give them a good soak. So this is the rainwater, and I'm going to just allow it a good 5 minutes or so to settle through. Whilst our cuttings are just draining from that good watering they've just had, let's just talk about the different materials that you can use to put a cloche over the top of your plants. It's important to do this because we really need to reduce the water loss rate, the transpiration rate in that important time period whilst those cuttings are setting roots. So what I've got here is a simple plastic bell cloche. This fits really well onto the top of the pots that we're using, so I'm going to use this. It's also got a nice vent on the top which you can close off to create that nice humid atmosphere. But other things that you could use are just a simple sturdy sandwich bag or a carrier bag. As long as it's reasonably transparent or at least pretty opaque, then it's fine to use one of these. So you simply need to get your covering over the top of your pot, which can be a little bit fiddly. Try not to damage any of the cuttings whilst you're doing that, which is quite tricky. Place your covered cuttings somewhere that is out of direct sunlight, for example under an apple tree like we have used here. So we have taken the blueberry cuttings, we've put them into the potting compost and we've covered them with the cloche, and now they're under our apple tree. We'll leave them for around a month or so and then check on how they are doing. If you have enjoyed our video today, please like, comment and subscribe. It only takes a minute, but it will really help our channel. Take care everyone. Bye.
Bye.